I can already tell you I'm gonna hate making this video. But there's still a voice in my head telling me that Texas football is going to be really good in 2022. And I think I might need to go see a doctor because I think I might be crazy. Now, that being said, I think my justification is valid. I think it's valid. I think it's okay. I made a video about this on TikTok and it didn't receive a lot of positive reviews. I was told that many times that it's the same thing every year. It's the same hype. Everyone convinces themselves that they're going to be back, and I don't think they're going to be back. I don't think they're going to be long-term back. I think Oklahoma is more set up to win in the SEC in the near future than Texas will be. But I'm talking about in the 2022 to the 2023 season, Texas could win the Big 12. I'm going to just say it. I think Texas could win the Big 12 next year. And I'm going to look like an idiot, and I hope I do. If you didn't know, I'm a big supporter of a lot of Texas A&M things, so it's not very shocking that I wouldn't want Texas to do very well. But with all the pieces that they're bringing in, and with the second year of Sarkisian's offense, and with recent news going around with the Big 12 and the other teams kind of losing a lot of transfers, it's hard for me not to ignore. And let's look at the Texas side of things and why I think Texas could be, as a team, more set up to win next year. First things first, it's Quinn Ewers. I don't think people understand how talented this kid is. He is not a Caleb Williams truck over a guy scrambler, but he can make any throw on the field. He was a 1.0000 recruit for a reason. He's a fantastic ball player. There's a reason why Ohio State fans were furious that he left and got $1 million, got that bag, and left, and went back to the team that he most likely was always going to play for. But on top of that, you have Bijat Robinson, who I think could be the best running back in college football next year. Sorry, my camera died. But like I said, you have Bijat Robinson. You have Xavier Worthy, one of the best wide receivers in college football, and he was only a freshman. He had about 12 touchdowns, I believe, and about 1,500 yards. I could be wrong on that, but as a freshman, that's super impressive. You also have the wide receiver coach from Pitt, who made Addison the best wide receiver in football, according to the award. I think it was the Blittenkoff Award. You have him going from Pitt to Texas. He's going to be a fantastic recruiter for Texas, and he's also going to potentially make Xavier Worthy just that much better. The offense looks fantastic, and don't even get me started on the offensive line. Yes, they're paying $70,000 for you to go play offensive line for Texas. Don't act like every other team is offering some sort of deal like this. It's the Wild West with the NIL, and it's going to be its own video. I'm going to talk about it, but it's the truth of it. You have players that are going to go get paid to play offensive line for Texas. Kelvin Banks looked fantastic in the Under Armour All-American game, and then you also have Devon Campbell, who his top two is Oklahoma and Texas, but he's a strong Texas lead. The offensive line is going to look fantastic. If you could get a B to B plus tier second wide receiver, this offense could be scoring 50 on practically anybody. It'll be interesting to see early in the season how they play against Alabama, because the offense could look really good, but the defense for Alabama I think could be even better, especially with Will Anderson in that secondary and Kool-Aid McKendry potentially getting even better. The Alabama defense is very young this year. And that's part of the reason why I feel like that they're not going to be in playoff contention, but they'll definitely be in New Year's Six contention, is because their schedule really doesn't allow for it right now. The defense, you have two corners coming in this recruiting class. This recruiting class is top 5 for a reason. Two corners, one you flipped from Ohio State, one you flipped from TCU. Both have played really well in these All-American camps. You also bring back DeMarvin Overshown, who was a 3rd to 4th round pick in my opinion, but he could potentially get to a 1st and 2nd round pick if he fixes up his technique and consistently can get pressure. But he's still one of the fastest pass rushers in college football, and he played really well this season. The linebackers are a cause for concern. The rest of the defensive line looks kind of concerning, and the safeties look a little iffy. You had Brandon Joseph, who had a little bit of interest, but he looks to be more of a Notre Dame lean to take over Kyle Hamilton's spot. There's a lot of holes, don't get me wrong, but then again, the offense looks fantastic. There's pieces in the defense that can make it at least permissible. And let's talk about the rest of the Big 12 because, I mean, who you play is just as important as how good you are. You have to play Alabama early in the season. That's going to be an early L, but how competitive you look in that game, specifically at it being at home, it's a sold-out game. This game has been hyped up for years for Texas specifically. This is the litmus test before you get into the SEC. How well can you play? And you look terrible against Arkansas. You have to at least look competitive for a half against the Heisman winner. Then you have to play the Red River rivalry, in which you played really good in that first half and collapsed just with the rest of the season. Caleb Williams, you don't have to play that year. Caleb Williams is not going to be on Oklahoma next year, I don't believe. He is going to be off doing something else. You now have Dylan Gabriel, Brent Venables, and a pretty solid Oklahoma team. They've rebounded pretty well with losing Lincoln Riley and all that talent. And I think they're more set up to win in the SEC in the future years, but we're talking about 2022 and 2023 season right now. I think Texas could strike right now. Texas could potentially win, and I think it'll be a huge test for Brent Venables as a defense coordinator to see how he can handle that offense with all that firepower. TCU isn't going to be as good. They lost out Zach Evans, who could have been a core piece for that team. I think they'll be pretty solid, but I don't think they'll be contender in the Big 12. Baylor, losing Abram Smith, your number one running back and your bell cow. You have to replace that, and I think they could be pretty good next year, but they have a lot of holes to fix. They're also losing Jalen Petrie, most likely to the draft. There's still, they're going to have to rebound and reload, but I don't know if they can. You also have Oklahoma State that they could be pretty good, but then again, is this a fluke year? Is Oklahoma State going to forever be a contender and potentially win the Big 12? Recent years will tell me otherwise. I think the Big 12 is more wide open than people think, and I think Texas could strike now and they could strike early. With that being said, I think 9-3 is potentially their best schedule or their best record, potentially 10-3. I don't know if they get to the Big 12 championship because I don't believe in Sarkisian as a coach. I think he's a great offensive coordinator, and if this fails, it's on Sarkisian. I don't think they're in national title contention next year, but I think they are. This is a test for Sarkisian. You have one class that was yours. You have all the pieces that you wanted, and now you have to show that you won't go 5-7. I think 8-4 is a failure of a year, in my opinion. I don't think that's good. I think that's an improvement, obviously, from 5-7 to 8-4. That's a good improvement, but you need to make substantial improvements if you're going to be the head coach for Texas football, because the boosters, and this is the problem, this is why I don't think they'll be as good as people want them to be in the SEC, is because the boosters have too much say and too much control in that university and that program, and it restricts them more than they think. And I think Texas needs to realize that if they want to truly become a contender in the SEC, is they need to get way better on the defensive side of the ball and not ignore it. And I think that's getting a really good defensive coordinator. And honestly, if they let Sarkisian just be offensive coordinator and head coach and get a really good defensive coordinator, maybe that's for the best. But with Brent Venables, who I believe could be a really good head coach, he was the best defense coordinator for Clemson for the long time, and Clemson tried to hold on to him as long as they could. So he's learned under Dabo Swinney. They have a ton of good staff coming in and a good class, and they're kind of rebounding in the 2023 class, and they're building around that defense as well as having a lot of good pieces on the offense as well. I think Oklahoma is more set up, and they were more set up beforehand to go win in the SEC. But if we're looking at just the season in front of us, taking one thing at a time, I don't think Texas is really a dark horse to win the Big 12. I think they're more of a contender than people are making it out to be. Call me crazy. Tell me what you think in the comments. Let me know what you think. If I'm crazy for even thinking that Texas should even be in the conversation, as they did lose to Kansas at home, and they didn't even make it to a bowl game, and their biggest success this season was the fact that Oklahoma fell apart from their playoff high schedule and Caleb Williams in number one class. That's probably been their best thing this offseason. And their top 5 class coming in, even though they went 5-7. That just shows you the power that Texas can have. I don't think Texas is going to be back, but I think they're going to have a really good season next year. I think 9-3, 10-3 it should be the expectation. And I don't think they should start ranked, honestly, either. But I think they could finish maybe top 15, maybe top 10 next year. And then the pressure is on. But I think the pressure is immensely high in Texas because I don't think Sarkisian has much of an excuse this year. If you liked the video, please like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and have a wonderful day. Please follow me on my other social medias and let me know what you think. Thank you.